All right, everyone to your places.
We're ready in here, sir.
How are we in the studio?
Stand by, sir. Get the lights.
Yes, sir. Striking.
Quiet on the set, please. We're on in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arlington Weekly News. On this October, we have a great news program today. I'm Daniel Pineda.
I'm Richard Corris.
My name's Adele Quo.
And like I said, Richard, we have a great news program today. Our news story, Adele and
It's Easy Being Green.
We can't forget CBB. Then Craig Nolan has a great tribute to IOTA.
Awesome.
Then our senior stories, and then Miriam Gennari and her guests, Richard Ezike and Leonard Robinson. And then this is a social media reminder. You can watch the Arlington Weekly News on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Arlington Weekly News. And you guessed it, the number 1. Also facebook.com/Arlington Weekly News. And now on to the news, Richard.
After seeing coverage of the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, an Arlington resident decided to do his part to help. Scott Jones helped raise more than $1,700 for disaster relief by broadcasting a 24-hour video game marathon from his apartment in Arlington. I wasn't really able to get my army boots and go to Houston to help people, said Jones, a 27-year-old Virginia Military Institution graduate and software company sales manager. This was a very low key to try to make a little bit of impact. Jones is one of numerous gamers who have used their gaming skills to raise serious cash for charitable causes. Daniel.
Well, thank you, Richard. In another charitable act, a 15-year-old sophomore at Yorktown High School is doing her part to help others. Allison Stocks has founded a nonprofit organization that takes donations of art and provides it to people who are making the transition from homeless shelters into permanent housing. The donated art helps cover bare walls and make the new residents more comfortable. Allison's organization, Home is Where the Art Is, has procured donations of hundreds of pieces of art, frames, and mats, and has provided original artwork to over 50 people in the area. Richard.
The Celebration of Sushi Zen's 20th anniversary continues. Most recently, they held a fundraising event at their location in the Lee Harrison Shopping Center on Wednesday, September 27th. But the celebration won't stop there. For their 20th anniversary, as a way of giving back to the community, the September event was one of 20 such events to be held over the next few months. Previous beneficiaries included the Educational Theater Company, Offender Aid and Restoration, and the Young Entrepreneurs Academy. For information about upcoming events, contact them at info.sushizen.com. Daniel.
Well, thank you, Richard. Don Hammonds' Arlington Weekly News has recently launched a spin-off program called AWN Presents. It features interviews with local businesses and organizations, musical performances, and short segments about free local attractions called Everyday Arlington. The program airs twice a week on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and also on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Most of the segments are recorded on location, and some segments are expanded for additional depth. Like Don Hammonds' Arlington Weekly News, it can also be found on YouTube under Arlington Weekly News and the number 1. Now we go on to our next segment for the show, of course, Adele and
It's Easy Being Green.
Hello.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for the warm welcome. My name's Adele Quo, and it's another It's Easy Being Green. Who doesn't like trees, and who doesn't like free? So how can you ignore getting a free tree? That's right. You heard it correctly. Joe Tree Frog wants you to know, Arlington, it's time to register for your one free tree. At the annual fall free tree distribution, Arlington County is giving away one free native tree per residential property while supplies last. Register now at environment.arlingtonva.us/register-for-your-free tree. And mark your calendar to pick up your free tree at either of the 2 tree distribution dates. That's Saturday, October 14th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Arlington County Nursery at 4240 South 4 Mile Run Drive, or Wednesday, October 18th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Quincy Park parking lot. That's at 1021 North Quincy Street. If you live in an apartment or condo, contact treestewards.org for additional help in obtaining more trees. The free trees being distributed are generally termed whips in the nursery trade. They come in 2-gallon containers ranging in 2 to 4 foot sizes. Meet the tree stewards who can help you select your tree based on where you plan to locate your tree. They will be on hand to answer questions and share tips about your new tree. Now is a great time to plant trees as the weather cools down, but the soil remains warm. These make for great conditions to promote rapid root development. From fall until spring, trees and other plants will spend their time growing and establishing their root systems instead of growing leaves and flowers. And the development of strong and healthy roots is the key to growing a strong and healthy plant that can handle heat and drought next summer. In Northern Virginia, we can plant until the ground freezes. By the way, if you're a leaf peeper like our mascot, Joe Tree Frog, peak fall colors are expected the latter half of October, sometime between October 15th and the 31st, according to the Virginia Department of Forestry's Fall Foliage Report. Some leaves will start to change sooner than that. Maple, gum, ash, beech, and birch trees likely change first. The following chart may help you. If you enjoy leaf peeping in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the western part of the state is expected to experience peak fall colors a little earlier, sometime around October 10th through the 20th, maybe about a week before our area. Remember, it's easy being green, planting a free tree.
Adele, and I didn't actually know that, so I guess we only have a couple of months until we cannot plant anymore, right? When it's wintertime. It's going to be too cold.
In this area, you can plant almost year-round as long as the ground doesn't freeze.
Right.
So when we get our first frost, that's probably a good benchmark.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, it stays mild. I've planted up into December, so it depends.
Well, great report, Adele. Thank you so much for
You
that.
bet.
And now, Richard, we go on to our CBB stories for tonight. Richard.
During the month of October, the Sugar Shack is conducting a hunt for goats and gnomes. These aren't actual goats or gnomes, but amusing models that have been hidden at various places around Columbia Pike. Anyone who finds one can bring it to the Sugar Shack at 1014 South Glebe Road to claim a prize. There are 29 small gnomes, redeemable for a half dozen donuts, 9 goats, redeemable for a dozen donuts, and 3 large gnomes, redeemable for a dozen donuts, a t-shirt, and a mug. The Arlington location will also host a family-friendly beer and donuts party on October 26 from 5 to 9 p.m. with Halloween-themed food and prizes. Daniel.
Well, Richard, here's an outdoor activity for families, including children ages 5 and up. It's called Owl Hike, and it takes place at sunset. And it's an opportunity to learn about owls, how to identify them by using your binoculars, and how to call them. A $5 registration is required. It takes place on Friday, that's October the 13th, from 6 to 7 p.m. You'll meet at the Long Branch Nature Center at Glen Carlin Park. That's located at 625 South Carlin Springs Road in Arlington, Virginia. For more information or to register, call 703-228-6535. Richard.
Here's an informative piece of poetry. On the third Monday of every month, there's a poetry workshop. It happens more than once. The next one's on the 16th of October. It should be fun, not too somber or sober. It's at the library, the Shirlington branch, 4200 Campbell, not back at the ranch. From 7 to 8 in the evening hours, poets will gather to demonstrate their powers. So come on down. Don't be shy about your verse. Consider this example. Yours can't be any worse. Daniel.
Well, thank you, Richard. On Saturday, that's October the 14th, the Office of Youth and Family Programs will conduct a hands-on demonstration of healthy Halloween tricks and treats. Their nutrition experts will guide you as you prepare several fun, healthy recipes, including spooky chocolate pudding, sweet potato pumpkin cookies, and of course, witch's potion smoothies. It all takes place at the Walter Reed Community and Senior Center and Park. That's located at 2909 16th Street South in Arlington, Virginia, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The cost is $8 per person since it includes the ingredients you'll use, and you can register by calling 703-228-4747. And Richard, now we go to our next segment that I really love, Craig Nolan and his IOTA tribute song. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Well, it's me, your friendly news anchor, Craig Nolan, and I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I've never mustered up the courage to go sing at IOTA's open mic night, which they do every Wednesday night. And this is, as I'm sitting here tonight on almost the last few days of September 2017, this is the last open mic night at IOTA. They're going to be lining up there, and I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be singing, but I'll be there in the audience cheering them all on. So I've been thinking about trying to do some kind of a little tribute song. I mean, I've never done this before. I've never sung at open mic night. I sing in the choir, and that's about it, But here's a little something that I came up with in all due respect to all the artists and all the people who work down at IOTA, and hopefully they'll continue somewhere else. So it's called Hey IOTA, and it goes like this. Hey, 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 IOTA on Wilson Boulevard. Hey, hey, IOTA, right in your own backyard. Whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, stay for one more day. One more day. For one more day. This ain't North Dakota, the one of Fargo fame. This is Club IOTA, where music is our game. Oh, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, stay for one more day. One more day. For one more day. You don't need your Toyota, the Metro's not too far. At Club IOTA, you can borrow this guitar. Whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, stay for one more day. One more day. One more day. At Club IOTA, you can practice in the street. At Club IOTA, you can take your whiskey neat. Oh, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA, whoa, 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 IOTA stay, hey, for one more day, for one more day, one more day, one more day. Thank you all.
Yay. Nolan, he's so creative, and I wish that he sang that song at IOTA. He's such a talented artist, our own Craig Nolan. Thank you, Craig, for that. And now we go on to our senior stories for tonight. Richard.
For those who love to read but have trouble getting to the library, Arlington Public Library can help you with their Books by Mail service. For others who love a good story but have trouble reading due to physical or visual disability, there's also the Talking Books service. Learn about these services from the library staff. It's a special program designed to help you to continue to read. It will be held at Walter Reed Community and Senior Center and Park. The presentation lasts from 10 to 11 a.m. on Tuesday, October 10th, and the address is 2909 16th Street South, Arlington, Virginia. For more information, call Leanne Canute at 703-228-0955. Daniel.
Well, Richard, these days, television and the internet seem to be flooded with advertisements for various kinds of nutritional supplements. Some of them may be very helpful, some may not. Some may have uses, but only for certain people. The question is how to know what will work for you. To help with these decisions, Arlington Mill will present a two-part series on health and wellness featuring Tori Gwilliam. Tori is a nutrition educator with Arlington Parks and Recreation. The next session will focus on the do's and don'ts of supplements. It will take place on Wednesday, that's October the 11th, from 10 to 11 a.m. The location is the Arlington Mill Community and Senior Center. That's located at 909 South Dinwiddie Street in Arlington, Virginia. For more information, call Nicholas England. That's at 703-228-7369. Richard.
Looking for ways to help light up your life? There will be a demonstration about basic electricity conducted by representatives from Home Depot. Find out the safe way to replace a ceiling light, rewire a receptacle, or set up lights for your holidays. The event will take place at the Walter Reed Community and Senior Center and Park. The presentation lasts from 10 to 11 a.m. on Thursday, October 12th, and the address is 2909 16th Street South, Arlington, Virginia. For more information, call Leanne Canute at 703-228-0955. Daniel.
Thank you, Richard. Arlington Public Schools are looking for volunteers. Communications Coordinator Dawn Smith can guide you through the steps and share the available opportunities for these rewarding programs. If you're interested, come to the Walter Reed Community and Senior Center and Park. The presentation lasts from 10 to 11 a.m. on Friday, October the 13th, and the address is 2909 16th Street South, Arlington, Virginia. For more information, call Leanne Canute. That's at 703-228-0955. And now we go on to our next segment for tonight. Miriam Gennari with her guests, Richard Ezike and Leonard Robinson. Take it away, Miriam.
Welcome to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. The issues involving EPS foam, or what everyone calls styrofoam, include waste management, it includes litter, it includes health, and it also includes a social justice question. Joining me today are two gentlemen who can help us answer those questions. First, Leonard Robinson. Leonard, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show again.
Richard Ezike.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Dr. Ezike, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a fellow with the Unit Concerned Scientist. My background is transportation, equity, and environmental justice. I'm a trained chemical engineer, So I have a lot of passion about environmental issues, and so I'm glad to be here to talk about the environmental impacts of styrofoam.
Thank you for joining us. And Leonard, tell us about your background.
Okay, well, I'm currently the host of the Green and Sexy radio show on WERA 96.7 FM. But my background, God, I've been in the environmental field for 40 years, from landfill to lobbyist to basically retired.
And some of the work that you did you said you started off working in landfills. You
Yes.
also had some experience in Superfunds. Can you kind of take us through the process and your experience as you encountered polystyrene along the way?
Well, I worked in landfills, and of course that's where a lot of the trash ends up, and we saw quite a bit of that stuff, mixed in, intermingled with the trash. I worked at wastewater treatment plants, and that stuff would come in and it would gum up all the equipment at the wastewater treatment plants. And then polystyrene or EPS foam is made with chemicals that break down. So as these toxic sites, if the polystyrene gets in, it gets into the water, it gets into everything else. So I've come across it quite a bit because it's so light, because it's hard to ship. People haven't been dealing with it, but now it's starting to become a big problem.
Well, in addition to people not necessarily dealing with it, you dealt with it from the other side of the table as it relates to a ban. How did you deal with that, and what are your thoughts?
Okay, first, I'm not a big fan of a ban because they do too many bans without a plan, and all it does is it puts a lot of pressure on the smaller restaurants that have to come up with something else. I'm for alternative ways for government to encourage people to recycle, like, hey, we will buy products made out of EPS foam, or we will pay you to collect it and make a product, or we'll give you a grant to come up with a product for EPS foam. That's how you get, efficiencies. That's how you get this stuff out of landfills and out of the water and back into commerce.
Okay, so it's a usable product and it does have some usefulness.
Yes, it does.
But Richard, can you tell us a little bit about what concerns you about EPS polystyrene foam?
Well, I think one of the things that very concerns me is its ability to break down when contacted with hot fluids. As I mentioned before, if you connect it with hot fluids, it can leach styrene into liquids, which is a carcinogenic or cancer-causing. It's also in the process of making it, it produces a number of side compounds like benzene and toluene. Now, toluene isn't as bad, but benzene is one of the side products that's very dangerous. It's also carcinogenic. It can cause a number of health issues. So using poly-EPS, it can be very, very dangerous to human health if it comes to contact with the certain fluids at certain temperatures.
Well, there's also another part that people don't always think about, and in terms of a social justice issue and litter, why do we see more styrofoam in low-income areas?
That's a very good question. What we see is that in many low-income areas, that's typically the only thing that's there. We have a number of like mom and pop restaurants that have to use styrofoam. That's all they have, right? Also, we don't have a lot in those areas. They don't have a lot of recycling facilities. So styrofoam EPS2 is the one thing that they have to use, right?
What's the psychological effect of growing up in an area that is filled with litter?
Yeah, you kind of think it's the normal, right? So the behaviors that cause litter, throwing things on the street instead of in trash cans, not recycling, not thinking of the impacts on your community, it just becomes second nature, right? And so people just do it because that's what they're used to, and they don't understand really how it's impacting their environment, how it's impacting their health.
What's one way you think would be really helpful in educating people more about recycling, the environment, but also about proper use for styrofoam?
Yeah, I think really it's just all about education. It's really all about exposure. We need to teach it in our schools. A number of schools have environmental programs that explain to young kids, especially at that age, about why things like styrofoam and other environmental negative products that negatively impact the environment need to be taken care of. I think if you can really engage young people early to be very environmentally sound, environmentally aware, and to avoid things like using styrofoam, maybe at home talking to their parents, making them use silverware and use reusable.
That's an
exactly
excellent point.
Right.
And some of that money, that investment, could come from the fact that foam, styrofoam, is a commodity.
That's right. Treat it like a commodity. I think if government would make companies that produce certain things be responsible for the cleanup, a couple things. They'll either make it less toxic or they'll create uses for it. And I think if somebody comes up with a use for it and the government says, hey, we're going to set the pace by buying the products that you make out of it, it all goes to commerce. It all comes down to commerce, putting people to work. A ban doesn't really work.
Wow, this is wonderful information. It's food for thought. And we want to eat real food, not plastic, right?
That's right. That's
All right.
right.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming out and enlightening us a bit. I want people to look for you. So how do they find you?
Okay, you can find me on the Green and Sexy radio show. You can find me under EnviroBro on Facebook. You can hit me up at envirobro@hotmail.com. Yes, Hotmail. I'm an OG with 4G.
There you go. And Dr. Ezike?
You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Dr. Ezike, DrRCEZike. You can also find me at rcezike@gmail.com if you want to email me directly.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, and please keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you for having us on the
Thank
show.
you for having me. Yes.
And I want to thank all of you for listening in, watching, and paying close attention to this issue. We'll be bringing more information to you about EPS foam and the future or best use of single-use and bulk polystyrene. I'm Miriam Gennari. That's the Sustainable Scoop. Back to the news desk.
Miriam, great job as usual with her guests Richard and Leonard. I love that show, Leonard on the radio, WERA 96.7. And I want to say thank you to our own Mary. Mary, thank you so much for making the buffalo chicken rolls, dip, crackers, chips, and pasta. So delicious over there. And I
Can't wait
I have to
till
take a bite.
after the show.
I know, we're all happy tonight because we were fed good food before the show.
It was a very large buffet that we are enjoying, and it was delicious and yummy.
You got to pull yours out. I know
I've got my bowl hidden down
the only one
here
having
because
it
I'm
here.
ladylike. So,
But we want to thank our own Mary. Mary, thank you again. The food was incredible. Thank you. Well, thank you for watching us on the Arlington Weekly News. We'll see you next week. Thank you.